Good afternoon. It's Kimball Sargent, your self-care coach. And this is, believe it or not, this is our week 5. And I was thinking about what do we do about living well in a sick world? Well, one of the things that this pandemic has done is it's given us the time to take a breather, to look at our situation. A lot of people are thinking, well, I don't have anything to do, or I can't get out, or, you're looking at the world, I think, from a half empty stance. The glass is either half empty or the glass is half full. Well, when you start thinking, well, there's nothing I can do. Actually, crises are a place where we grow. The crises is where you have a chance to take a look and make a change. I've been a psychotherapist and I've done coaching for over 20 years. And what I have found is that most people don't exactly embrace change unless they are a coach or they are a therapist, because that's what excites us. Most people would like to have something different in life, but a lot of them just don't know how to get it. And most of the time, we're like little hamsters, and we're on that wheel, and we're running and we're running and we're running. And about 4 weeks ago, just about everybody had to stop. I mean, all around the world, people have had this time to stop. And so, just what if this was something that sort of changed your whole trajectory from here on out? To live happy in a sick world is a mental and a financial thing as much as it is physical. It's really, really important. And one of the things that I find is there's lots of people that are in jobs that they hate. In fact, that's something I hear all the time, is that people say that they just hate what they're doing, but they don't feel like there is a way to do anything different. And most people will have something that they sort of dream about but don't do. One of my favorite teachers was Wayne Dyer. And Wayne had a great story. He went into the Navy, and the day that he was leaving, his uncle gave him the book, The Death of Ivan Illich. And Wayne read that. And at the very end, when Ivan is on his deathbed, he realizes that he has never done what he wants to do, that he's dying with his music still in him. And Wayne Dyer said that at that very moment, just reading that was a turning point for him. At that moment, he said he knew, note to Wayne, don't die with your music still in you. And Wayne Dyer lived a pretty amazing life. And he never stayed with the status quo. He started out sort of a holistic psychologist. We started out teaching holistic psychologist, but he really became a teacher. He wrote a book. He set out with it in the back of his car, going to radio stations and selling it. He made a decision at that time that he wouldn't die with his music still in him. So when you have this time, I'd like for you to think, are you living the life that you really want to live? Pre-lockdown, the work that you do, is that the work that you really, really want to do? Or is it the work that you feel like you have to do? Is there something else that you'd like to do? Or would you just like to explore? What are you good at? What is it you're good at that you can make money at? What is that you're good at, you can make money at, and it gives you purpose? These are questions to ask yourself. You want to really spend a little bit of time dreaming. Now, if you recall, in one of the early weeks of this, in one of the classes, I talked with you about a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in it, the writer talks about living through the concentration camp. And the way he did that was he saw himself, after the war, he saw himself lecturing to all of these doctors, psychologists, about how he lived. During that time, he was thinking about what he was going to be doing after this. So what are we going to be doing afterwards? Now, I promise you that when we first go out, that we will not go back to the same world we had. In fact, we'll never go back to that world. The one thing that you can really count on in life is change. And I would say for most people on the planet right now, no one has ever been through a change that has been exactly like this one. I mean, wars or anything that have happened in our lifetimes have not been exactly like what has happened worldwide with this. And there'll be changes. We're going to spend a lot more of our lives online virtually than we ever have before. And with that, we will lose something. And with that, we'll gain something. And one of the things I found is I really kind of like being home. And I worked from home, but I spent a lot of time dashing around. And now I'm able to see and talk with people and not have that confinement or of being in my car. So things are going to change. So what if right now you decided that you wanted to design your life? Because when you have hope for a future and you're building a future that you want, not that someone else wants, but a future that you like, something that when you paint that picture, that it's very bright and crisp and sharp, and the sounds you hear and the things that you enjoy, you've really got to build it as something that you want to be in. And what might it be that you want to do? I'm going to tell a story of a friend of mine. I'm not going to use his name because I haven't asked permission. But when he was younger, he went to college and he got a degree in fine arts. But they say that you don't make money in arts, do you? So he worked and managed gyms and did different kinds of things. Did some entrepreneurial stuff, did some marketing for someone, and thought that that's where he would finish out his career and just retire. And then when he was doing that marketing, something happened and that job went away. And do you know what he decided to do? He decided to start painting. And now he is a very successful painter who makes a lot of money for his paintings. I bet he's making the best money he's ever made, and he loves what he's doing. But he took a crisis, which was a loss of a job. And with that loss of that job, he decided to do what he loved. So what I'm going to give you a homework assignment. And then if you'd like, I'll tell you at the end how you can get in touch with me. And I'm giving 30-minute free assessments on wellness. And your dream is one of those things that we can assess, and I can help you with a plan. And that's just my gift for you. And I'll tell you more about that at the end. So I want you to get a book. This is the one that I have that I write in every morning, and I write my goals. And I will spend some time writing about my life, my future Kimball, what I'm doing, who I'm seeing, where I'm living. I make that picture really, really bright and vivid. I would suggest that when you get this book, that you start writing before before you get real concrete about what would you want to be doing? What would your life look like? And as you write that, once you've got it, then start thinking about how did you get there? What did you do? And you can write that and explain it. In fact, a really good assignment is to write a letter, and you can write it to me. You don't have to send it to me, but say, "Hi, Kimball. It's been 6 months since I was in that class with you. And, I was feeling kind of down then, but then I got to thinking about what I wanted to do. And now I'm doing blank. I don't know. Maybe you want to live in a different city. Maybe you want to be in a different relationship. Maybe you want a different job. What would your dream job be?" I will tell you that you spend more time at your job than you do anything else. So having something that you do that brings you purpose and makes you feel happy and that you're good at and you get paid for. There's people that have said that if you are doing a job that you love, that you never work a day in your life. Now, in any kind of crisis like this, people will come out, and some people, their jobs aren't coming back. So if you're one of those people that you're pretty sure your job's not coming back, then this is even more important to you, because what are you going to do in the future? Now, a very wise mentor of mine, one time when I was in my early 30s, said to me, I thought that there was a job that I was going to lose, and I was really upset about it. And I went to see her, and she said, "Congratulations." And I said, "What?" She said, "Congratulations. If you lose that job, that opens up all kinds of opportunities for you." And I thought, I looked at her like she had three heads. And then I started thinking about it. Well, I didn't lose the job, but I quit the job a month later. And I went on to do something that I wanted to do, another self-employed thing. Because I told you, I've predominantly been in self-employed since I was 27, and I don't ever want to work for anybody else. And I'll promise you that even though the landscape is slippery now for people who are self-employed and work for themselves have more ideas and are usually more flexible about making changes than people who are in a job. And for me, being self-employed means that I have control of my fate, of what's going to happen. Doesn't mean I'll always be doing the same thing. So think about, what are those, and you're writing this, think about, what would you want to do? I mean, some of it would be like, if you want to be something in the fashion industry, well, then, living in a small town in Eastern North Carolina might not be where you want to be. So what would those steps be like, and what would you do? But you come up, and I want you to get the end in mind. What is it going to be like? Where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? Who's going to be in your life? And write that out. And then write that letter. And then as you've told it, then write all the steps you did to get there. Now, it's true that you will be making those things up. But that's creation. That's creation. If you take your hands and you put them in the lower part of your abdomen, that's your creativity chakra. That's where creativeness comes from. That's where you birth ideas from. And this is going to be a birthing of an idea of what you want to be, do, have. You want to wrap yourself into that, and then write this letter. And when you get it written, if you decide to get in touch with me and spend the half-hour session, I'd love for you to share it with me. But if not, that's okay. But what I'd ask you to do is, when you finished it, take it and put it somewhere. And then on your calendar for 6 months or a year or both, take that letter out of this book and take a look at it and see what's happening. The more focused you are on that letter and the details in that, the more magical things that can happen. And it's really not magic. It's really comes down to the power of intention. Our brains are always going back and forth, looking for opportunities for the things we think about. But one of the problems is sometimes our thoughts get in the way. And that's where coaching can be really helpful, because a good coach helps you figure out how to make the little changes. And sometimes it's just one little change that will make an entire difference in your being able to reach a goal that you have. So this is something that you're going to do with yourself, and then be able to go back. And if you'd like help and you'd like one of those half-hour sessions, and as well, I also have a wellness assessment that I can send you. What I want you to do is go on Facebook, and my Facebook site is Wellness Solutions Today. I'd love for you to like my page and send me a message. Let me know that you saw this. But if you want just the assessment sent to you, then what I want you to do is go to www.wellnesssolutionsnow.com. And when you go there, I will send you out the assessment. I really want you, each morning when you get up, this is, if any of you know of Margaret Mead. Margaret Mead studied cultures, and she was about the same. She was a tiny woman. I think probably about the same height that I was. But every morning she would wake up and she would jump out of bed and she would say, "I'm so glad I'm Margaret Mead. There's nobody I'd rather be." And she would do that a couple of times. And I know that because she lived with Jean Houston the last few years of her life. And when I was doing some training with Jean, she talked about that. Get up every morning and jump out of bed and yell out your name and say how glad you are to be alive and how glad you are to have this life. And then get your book out and write something about that life that you're about to create. And pay very close attention for the rest of this time that we're locked down on what it is you want to do afterwards. And you know what? When you're doing this, no matter what's happening around you, if you feel good on the inside and you see hope and you see opportunity, your immune system will be stronger, your T cells will be stronger, everything in your life will just move better. One of the things we know is that people who are optimistic get sick less. So I've given you assignment. I really hope that you'll get in touch with me. I would love to do a 30-minute session with you and see if I could help you navigate and create a little plan that will help you live the life that you were meant to live. Thank you so much for joining me today, and be well.